Welcome to the Lazy Money Machine, where we show you the easy, no-nonsense way to financial and time freedom.
Welcome to another Lazy Money Machine podcast. Today, we want to change things up a little bit. And I'm here with my good friend, Erik. I've had some thoughts. I've had some ideas. And I want to discuss them with my good friend and hopefully get some feedback from you guys too. Because I was watching this bloody fantastic, absolutely fantastic documentary, or as David Attenborough calls it, a witness statement about climate change. And it got me thinking, not just about climate change, which obviously it's a pretty big topic in itself, but by the depth of the actual information and the core of it, how it applies to our lazy lifestyle. What I feel is that because we are going so fast, we're pushing ourselves as human to new limits. We are creating problems that we're yet not prepared or not advanced enough to solve. And that's a problem with the earth at the moment. And I believe that that's a problem with humanity overall. We are pushing ourselves to a level where we're not prepared to deal with the consequences of such a leap. Essentially, we're working our butts off. I have not seen another generation that works as long as we do. We are now loving and being, basically worshiping the art of being busy, the art of waking up at 5 a.m., of sleeping less. Like Schwarzenegger said in one of his famous speeches, sleeping faster, because that's the solution to everything, right? And we're worshiping, we're feeling like that is the way to be successful. And what's creating is a culture of deficiency, a culture where people are doing so much that they're actually shooting their own humanity down to the point where we're sicker than we've been in any other generation. We're getting diseases now that are all related to stress. They're all related to the amount of work that we do and the way that we do things. And those diseases are being brought up by our own behaviors. But those behaviors are only there because of the way that we perceive our reality to be. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks while I was watching this amazing documentary. And again, if you haven't watched it, just make sure that you do. It will blow you away. That we are doing something that's inhumane in a way, but more than that, what I mean is that it doesn't fit within our capacity. And that lack of, I guess, being able to fit something like that, it's actually hurting us on everything else. We're changing our priorities to a way that it's just not working out. So that's a thought that I wanted to percolate today, that I wanted to play with, because I believe that once that you get that simple change in your mindset, where all of a sudden you're feeling, you know what? Life is not about pushing myself to the limit. Life is not about being the new LeBron James. Life is not about being a super athlete or the wealthiest person or anything like that. Life is about something completely different. Then your whole lifestyle, the way that you look at problems, the way that you look at solutions completely changes. And your priorities will change and your actions will change. And that's what I want to be talking about today. So what do you think about that, Erik? Am I just going a bit senile and talking shit? Or is there something there that you like?
Yeah, I like it very much. I'm just thinking, where did this problem come from? If we look at our parents, right, or our grandparents, were they living life like this? Not in the extent, I think, that most people are doing it today, as you described. I think if I look at my parents, and maybe you can talk about your parents, maybe we can have a look at that, right? My parents, my dad had a shop. So we had a small retail store. We were selling refrigerators and radios, and we were installing electrical installations in houses. So we had an electrical shop. And that came with its quite a level of stress as well. I mean, he was quite busy, but it was quite a a simple life, right? I mean, in the morning the store opened, in the afternoon the store closed. My mom was a homemaker, so she was at home most of the time, and I have experienced my childhood as being relaxed and quite comforting and not very stressed. What I see now is that lots of families, both parents are working. Both parents seem to be in a social environment whereby many other parents are both working as well, whereby people take very little time out to go on holidays. In some countries, people have more holidays, like in the Netherlands, people have a lot of holidays, but like in the US, people have very few holidays from their employer, so they don't even have time to chill down. And I think on top of that, what's happening is the image of wealth or the image of having a lot of money is still very popular on mainly on social media. The image of being rich is something to strive for many people, or at least to do as many things with your life as the neighbors are doing, right? And so for that you do need money to go and travel and buy the car and buy the house.
Keeping up with the Johnsons bullshit. I get it. Yeah, I get it. It hurts.
It hurts, yeah. So I think in general, yeah, and on top of that, I think, and that's a really contributing factor, information flow is just exploded, of course. When I was young, there were newspapers. There was no internet, right? So, and there was TV, but there were three national channels, right? So the amount of stories and the amount of pictures and the amount of impressions of different things was a lot less than it is now. Now people wake up, including myself sometimes, wake up and go to bed with being connected to the internet and absorbing this non-stop avalanche of imagery and of YouTube videos and of Instagram images and of, if you choose to, news articles, right? So
what your perfect life should be like, right? It's just that complete sale, complete pitch of what a perfect life should be like. And that's what we're being bombarded. You're putting your finger somewhere even deeper than I went to. We're getting fucked since we're little kids into believing something that is ultimately a lie. It's a false paradigm. It's a new reality that's being created by people that actually want that level of movement. Because obviously our economical system relies on that level of movement, of transactions. How do you create more transactions? When you create more activity. And the activity from any kind of economic, I guess, movement is going to create that flow that then keeps building the economy and making the rich people richer. And it tends to also make the poor people poorer. That's something else, that essence of what I honestly believe is what makes people happy, is what we seem to have lost, because the message that we have been sold is the message you're talking about.
Yeah, and there's one other thing that I thought about, and that is that a lot of people postpone till their retirement to do what they actually want to do in life, right? And because of this, right, because of the fact that busyness and the hustle culture is so prevalent in society now, people, it's cool to work hard. And that was already starting with my generation, I think, whereby, you know, working hard and working long hours and being a career person and pushing the envelope on how you progress in your career steps and moving up the ladder was already quite cool, right? But I think for many people, that pattern is still there, right? They start working when they're 20, they might stop working when they're 65, right? So they put in 40 years, 45 years of hard labor to then have 15 years to spend it, right? So you're spending, you know, three quarters of your life making your money, and then you have 1/4 of your life in old age, poorer health, less energy to go and spend it. And I think that part is completely wrong as well. Now, I think we're exaggerating a little bit, because I think there are some people that are looking at this differently. And that's also what we're appealing to, right? We want to wake up the world to say, look, you know, this is not a way to live, you know, find a way that you can start enjoying life while you're in this process of, you know, maturing, growing up, and building your wealth. But I think, yeah, the speed of society is really a problem. And, you know, you're bringing it to climate change, you're bringing it to, you know, depleting the resources in the world. You're bringing it also to stress and disease. And I think all those things, they are undeniable indicators of us doing something wrong here. And I'm really interested to talk to you further about that. So what are we all doing wrong in the world, according to you?
I think that the reality of where we are at the moment with the pace of society is that we just have to take a step back and really figure out what matters. And then, only then, when we have clarity about what is it that we're after, the pace that we want to live, then we'll be able to make the changes that we want to make. The problem that I see for the majority of the population is that we're so stuck into the rat race, into doing things, to just keep going, we're in survival mode. Most people are in survival mode. That's all that you are. You're happily trading 95% of your life for 5%, which for anyone with any common sense, it doesn't stack up. It doesn't add up. So once you take that step back and you look at that reality, this is a reality. This is life for the average person out there. When you realize that that's what you're doing, you have to change. There is just no going back. It's like something like a switch that clicks on. And I honestly believe that mindset and everything else happens in 1 second. Is that second that you have a realization, a moment of clarity, where you realize that what you're doing is wrong and there is something else that you need to do, something else that you need to change in terms of priorities. And it comes down to that, to prioritizing something. If you're making your success, you're doing things, your main priority, you're giving away some other things. You're basically putting second, third, fourth, fifth, your family, your health, your fun, your inner kid that has been neglected in most situations. I mean, that for me is essential. That is the successful life that I want to have forever. And I was talking to my mate Ben yesterday. So we were having a few drinks, smoking a cigar, talking some shit, and we were both saying that a lot of the marriages are failing because men change, sometimes forced. And we're talking about men. It's not that we're trying to just exclude women. It's just two guys talking about why are guys just pulling up? Why are they? Because we're realizing that most of our mates that have been married for 15 years, they're all getting divorced or have already been divorced, maybe more than once. And the reality is that men are changing to give away that part of that cheekiness, that happiness, that inner boy that you have. When you give up that shit, then your life goes into a downward spiral because you're not having that fun, that connection that you have to that kid, to that happiness. And it's just those little changes which are so essential. When you are in tune to what makes you who you are, what makes you happy, what life's all about. We're animals. We're just, unfortunately or fortunately, whichever way you want to look at it, we're gifted with this amazing brain that can create different weird ideas. And because of those ideas, we're going this path. But the reality is that most animals, well, every other animal, they don't have these problems because they're always living in the now. They understand what's important. And we keep living in the past. We keep living in the future. We keep living in someone else's shoes. And that is the problem, that we don't take the time to just analyze what's now, what is the thing that will make your life worth living. And that's when other things that we can talk about, like the fear and everything else, but that's for another day. It's just taking that step back, just moving away from that pace of life. And I get it, that it's so freaking hard for the average person to do that when you have kids, you have a job and a half, essentially, with the amount of hours that you're doing. You're trying to salvage your marriage. You're trying to do whatever it is that you're doing. You're trying to still have some fun, have some friends, but you can't. You take care of your family. The financial pressures that come with all you. Of course, it's hard to just, especially you're listening to us, you're like, yeah, of course it's fucking easy for you to say that. You do whatever you want to do. I think that I've done that because early on I didn't have to take a step back. And that's why I believe that education is so powerful, and reading books and different ideas and having an open mind to living life in a different way. And people don't have it. They just perceive that there's only one reality. There's only one way of doing things. And you have to be like this. You have to be like that. It's bullshit. No, you have to be you. Just let's fucking figure out what that is. And do it yourself. It's just like, go deep. And it's hard to go deep, man. How many times do you go deep usually?
Yeah. Well, only when I go into courses that force me to do it. And then, I usually discover amazing things and have led to really, big choices in my life on changing things. And I think you need to do those every once in a while and to find out what really drives you and what is really important. I think it's really important you do that very regularly in your life. And the things you're bringing up about relationships is very interesting, and marriages. I mean, we cannot close our eyes for the consequences of the average lifestyle that we're all living. I mean, we were talking about the impact we have on the world, but even closer to home, look at the impact you have on your spouse or the impact you have on your partner, right? Is your partner actually deserving the you that is in front of them? Or is your partner actually deserving of somebody that is more, in whatever way, more present, more loving, more connected, more free, more stress-free, more healthy, right? The consequences of slowing down or living the lazy lifestyle that we're both advocating is not only the fact that, we are lazy, we don't want to do anything, and we want to make our money sleeping while we're sleeping. The money part is only the last bit of the equation, I think. The real choice is, do you really want to slow down? Do you really want to slow down to affect all these aspects of your life, right? The fun you have in your life, the way you're present with your children, right? Your children are only with you for a very short period of time. Once they're 18, well, actually in my experience, once they're 15, 16, they are maturing and they're on their way to be independent adults. So grab those first couple of years that you have your kids, but you can't be there if you're rushing around, doing other things that you think is important in life, right? So I think the consequences of this lifestyle, the consequences of this pace go far beyond, the world. And it's very close to home as well, right? Whereby the impact it has on your loved ones is really, really severe sometimes.
Oh, not sometimes, all the time. Because nowadays, people are connected 24/7. That is not healthy for you. And the problem with your loved ones is that everything that you're actually doing, they're gonna copy. They're gonna feel that it's right because you're doing it because you love them, right? It's the way that we all think. And the reality is that we're doing this because we feel, we've been indoctrinated into this false belief that being busy, being connected, doing all these things is the way that someone's success should look like. It is being busy. That's why when you talk, and I say this all the time, I know that I can sound repetitive at times, but that it pisses me off when I talk to a friend and I ask them, how you going? And they're like, oh, I'm so busy. Like it's supposed to impress me. What impresses upon me is that you're a fucking idiot and you're obviously doing something wrong. So if you ever talk to me and you tell me you're busy, probably you should refrain from doing that because you're already starting the conversation the wrong way. You should say, I'm screwing it up because I'm doing too many things at the moment. How can we fix that? Then that's the kind of conversation that I want to have. But it's that cult that we've created of the superhuman. I always say the Messi story because he had obviously massive issues with his growth, and he had to take hormones for growth and everything else. And he's still a very short man, and he had to go through all that pain and fought and work harder than everyone else, so that now he became a superstar and probably the best player to ever play the beautiful game. Well, that's awesome, but fuck, what a shitty life. Honestly, can you imagine having a life where you have to fight the way that man has fought all his life since he was a little kid? He went to Barcelona when he was 12 and he was already working his butt off, like working beyond what anyone else may have thought. That is a hard life. Of course he has fun and the toys and everything else and all that shit. No, and he makes a crap load of money. But the pain that he's gone through and the pain that he's going to go through, because do you think that anyone that trains that hard, your health is not going to suffer in the future? You are already giving that part up. It's like entering a contract. You already know that clause is there. You play the way that he plays with injuries every day at that level. For the next 20, 30 years, you're going to be waking up, literally popping pills to just be able to endure the pain. That's part of the contract. That's the lifestyle that we feel is amazing, that we've been sold that is amazing. A life of pain since you're a kid. Basically, forget about all the shit, all the fun stuff that we did as growing up, kids, teenagers, and all. You cannot have that. You cannot have that life. You cannot make mistakes because you are in the public eye. You cannot, you know how many mistakes I've made? You know how many mistakes I still make? That's because I'm not there. Fuck, it's great. I can get away with anything because that's life. And I love that. I love being anonymous like that. I love being able to do whatever I want to do. I don't want to sign a contract where everything that I do is going to be looked upon. That's one of the reasons why I would never go into politics. You know, it's bloody hard. I don't want to be scrutinized for my freaking moves. It doesn't work like that. So it's very important that you know what you're signing on your life, and everyone's doing that. You have a contract, and you may think that what you're getting, what you're buying on that contract is worth it. I would say just read the fine print. See whether you are actually prepared to pay the price that comes with it. Because I honestly don't think people do that. And that's what I mean by taking a step back and reading the fine print. Don't just sign on the pretty photos. Read the fine print. It's painful. It's really painful. And what people are doing to their lives, I look at it in despair. I look at it in a way that just breaks my heart. Because you know that the majority of the problems that we have is because we're breaking the most important unit that we have as humans, which is family. But when you break that family unit, because divorces, the rates of divorce have been consistently going up. The amount of people cheating, the amount of people doing these things, and it's breaking the most sacred. And I don't mean it in a religious way, okay? I mean it as a culture, as humans, we need that closeness. When we grow up as kids without that, there are going to be parts of our development that are going to be shunted, that are going to be in need of repair. So you're going to have to get different role models, different ways to fix it. We have the capacity of taking a step back and thinking about it. We have to be those role models for people to know that there is more, that the bullshit that they're being fed, it's just bullshit. It's not the reality. It's not what's going to make you happy. I know so many people that would give away everything that they've done to just have a normal life where they, and again, we have to define that. Hopefully you're taking that note down, because I want you to define what that normal good life is to you. But to me, I see a lot of people that just do the minimum to live well, to live happy. And that's what I love about my culture in Spain. I really do. That people do know how to have fun, and they work in order to live, not live in order to work. And that is the key there. They know what's enjoyable about life. And it's very interesting that Spain has had such same thing with Greece, Italy, most of the Mediterranean countries, that they've had such a bad run lately when it comes to financial situations, economic downturns, property values, the whole thing, right? They've had a struggle and a half. But at the same time, they have some of the highest, in terms of the scale, happy people in the planet. And you're like, how does that not make people think that there is something that doesn't add up? So people that are not financially overperforming or even performing at above average, they're actually below average, but they're still much happier than the people that are performing well above average, because there is no real correlation. There could be some causation, but there is no correlation between money and happiness. If anything, it could be, to me, it could be an inverted correlation. Because the more money that you have, when you're in that struggle, the more you need to do, the less happy you tend to be, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I see all these people all the time, that are fighting to just get ahead, and they're just miserable bastards. And they're so obsessed about it. And the more that you want it, the more that it escapes.
Wow. Okay. So, few things that I want to dive deeper in. Deep. Now, whatever.
Dive deeper. Yeah.
That's it.
Dive deeper. That's it.
Dive deeper. So, the first thing that you told me that completely shocked me in a couple of conversations ago, which I want to bring up again, is that there are so many people that say they love what they do, but it's a bullshit excuse for basically working too hard. So when you told me that, I was like, man, I'm saying that so often. And I think I sincerely mean it. All the things that I'm developing, the courses that I'm building, the work that I'm doing with some of my mentors, and the work I do with you and my property business. But I go, but hang on, I was close to a burnout a couple of weeks ago because I've spent too many hours doing it. And then you were saying this, what people say they love what they do, but it's a bullshit excuse for working too hard, actually, right? So how do you look at that?
The whole I love what I do, it's just an idea, so that what you're doing fits still on that box of success. Because if it didn't, it would break your own beliefs, and people cannot deal with that. For most people will actually go through a shed load of pain before they break those beliefs, right? And it's crazy that we're wired like that, but it's a self-preservation kind of thing. So the more that you read about historically and anthropologically the way that we're built as humans, understand that statement. People, again, are too scared to just take a step back and be like, is that I'm doing more important than this other thing? And this other thing is going to be your health. It's going to be your relationship. It's going to be your kids. It's going to be your friendships. I mean, how many people cultivate their friendships? And how many friendships literally go away because you don't nourish them? And honestly, if you don't nourish your relationship with your mates, it disappears. Yeah. It goes away. And I know that people say, again, that's the other idea. You see, the other idea. Oh yeah, but we can connect in 2 years and it's like time hasn't gone by. Bullshit. Of course it has. And no, you cannot connect the same way because people evolve, people change. So you're not connecting the same way. You connect better or worse, but not the same. Everything changes, right? And if you were having that close connection on a regular basis, the change wouldn't happen. You would still have the same friendship, but a much better friendship. That's a reality. But again, once again, we come up with ideas and bullshit so that it fits our box, so that we can be okay with not paying attention to our friends, with not paying attention to our loved ones. It's the whole thing about absence makes we even come up with freaking sayings, right? Absence makes the hat grow fonder. What the fuck? No, it doesn't. No. Absence sucks. Yeah. Absolutely sucks, right? Like a little bit, yeah, it's all right. Like I always, I remember saying on the events, but everyone tells me that they want to spend more time with their family and kids and everything else. And I'm like, are you sure? Are you really sure that you want to spend all the time? And they're like, and they look at me like, holy fuck, what have I said? I'm like, yes. And I'm like, if you ever have that opportunity, you will think about it twice. You know what? This lockdown has given everyone that fucking opportunity. Yeah. And it's broken a lot of relationships. It's broken a lot of people because all of a sudden they realize that they're just not prepared for that. They were just living in that paradigm, in that rule. So it's funny how we create all these ideas, all these sayings, all these beliefs to make it fit and make it be okay about working our butts off, about not prioritizing things that we should be prioritizing. And it's breaking your ego. It's breaking the image that you have of yourself and success. And being able to go that deep. And that's why I said, how many times do you go deep? Because it's painful, it's confronting, and I do it every once in a while, and I have those realizations, and I love it because I'm becoming more and more immune to them because I keep evolving. And when it happens, I know that it hurts, but I know that it's going to come with a lot of positive consequences. But that's what I mean by that. You will create all these crazy ideas about why your job is so important. And look, your job and what you do could be very important. I'm not saying that it's not, but is it more important than living a happy life with the things that should matter more to us as humans, the things that really make our soul, or whatever that is, that energy that we have, vibrate at a higher frequency? Is it worth it? If it's not worth it, why are you doing it? To fit in? To be like every other prick? Well, the reality is that most people are not happy. That's it. It really comes down to that. Most people have moments of happiness, but then they go into the fitting model because they're too scared not to fit in, because they're too scared to go deep and realize that what they're doing is bullshit.
Yeah. One other thing that struck me now is that people also tend to overestimate the time they have left. Now, I'm not, how do you call that, morbid about this or anything, but if you wake up to the fact that, life is finite and there's an end to, this movie that we're in, right? Maybe we star in another movie later on. Who knows, right? Maybe we come back and star in another movie. I spiritually, that's where I am at, right? I think we're going to come back. I think our spirits are coming back in different forms, and we're here to evolve. So I think there's many other movies. And if you have that belief, then you're not too afraid of dying. But the fact is, this physical reality that you and I live in, this movie that we're playing in, has a last scene. And this last scene is there, whether you like it or not. It's going to happen. So why on earth do you live most of your life as if this last scene will not happen, as if you always still have time to do what you want to do, right? You don't know. I mean, it could be over tomorrow. And why do you keep postponing things that you want to do in your life till later, when first of all, you don't know if later is going to be there. You don't know in what condition and shape you're going to be in when it is later. And yet most of society lives as if, we're all going to be happy singing 90-year-olds, running a marathon. That ain't going to happen for the most part, right? There are some exceptions, but that's it. So, and that brings me to one other thing that I want to share.
Can I even before you share that?
Yep.
You brought something that's really cool, because I agree with it wholeheartedly, everything that you've just said. But then at the same time, I've also had a realization. I had this a while ago. This is like probably, I don't know, 5-6 years ago at least. That then there is this fear of death, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, that's going to push you to do more things. And I said, oh, that's a problem. So the issue is that's another idea of your deathbed, and you have had to do all these things to be happy and achieve all these things to be okay. No. I actually reckon that is the moment where you realize what was truly important. And none of those things that people think is what, really matters, is what's actually going to matter. That's the moment that you realize, well, what I'm pursuing, it's probably not worthy of pursuing. What I should be doing is looking a little bit deeper and see, well, these people that are in that situation, what they value is the time that they spend laughing, being themselves, just doing nothing. There's a beauty that is amazing between 2, 3, 4 souls that are together doing nothing, just connecting, just talking for the sake of talking, doing what we're doing now, which is actually quite a bit of fun, right? Just exploring that deeper notions of our brain, where most people are too afraid to go. How many mates you have? I mean, probably you have, and it's the wrong person to ask this question, because I know you will have a few, but I can talk about this with most of my mates. If I don't consider a mate unless I can have this type of conversation. Yeah. For the average person, they just bottle this shit in, and it's that fear of death that's so problematic in today's society, with everything that we're going through with COVID and everything else. It's what's killing people, really. It's that fear, because you don't know, and you're never going to know. We're never going to know. We all have our beliefs, and I have a very similar belief than you. But the reality is that we don't know. But fearing what you don't know, it seems a bit pointless. It's not logical. Not that it has to be logical. There is a There's a part of subconscious feelings, but yeah, it's just getting that realization that the fear itself of death should be something that push you not to do more, but to do less or do it differently.
It's actually known. Yeah, I mean, there's research, there's books written about it. Forgot what the name of the book is, but there's somebody that has researched this in depth on, you know, the regrets that people have when they're on their deathbed. And the number one regret that people have, I'll find the book, and if I'll put a link in the show notes for this episode. The number one regret, if I recall it correctly, is that they haven't spent enough time with the people they love. So they look back at their life and they do the math and they look at this number that I was looking at, you know, working 45 years, spending the money in 15 years. And they look back and why have I spent all this time in the office? Why have I spent all this time worrying about death? Why have I spent all this time worrying about money? Why have I hurt the people that I've hurt in my life, right? The number one regret is and it comes back to time. All right. And I always say, you know, time is the only non-renewable resource, right? There's only a finite amount that everybody gets. And you got to do the most with that time that you are being dealt, right? The card you're being dealt. And not spending enough time with the people you love comes back to all the stuff that you're saying, right? The fast pace of society, the relationships that are breaking down, us not putting the right priority of having fun and really connecting with human beings. And, you know, one of the big joys of my life is to do, like you said, to initiate as many conversations as I can with strangers. This week I had a conversation with 3 people I didn't know on a round table discussion. It is so valuable because I get to know these guys. I get to, you know, dig a little bit into their heart. I get to find out what drives them. That's just beautiful. That's amazing. And that's, you know, that's time well spent, I think. So yeah, that I wanted to add that to it. And I completely agree with you. And if that is the priority, so if the priority should be that we spend as much time as we can with the people we love or new people we, you know, get to love in the process, then we need to build a life that facilitates that instead of hoping that there's a few hours left to quickly squeeze that in on a Friday night. So we need to change from how do I make my money to how do I, you know, spend as much time as I can with the people I love. And if we change that, then the options of making the money you will have to get creative about it. You'll have to find things that are less time consuming, more effective, more efficient to live the life that we want to live, right?
Like our podcast. That's exactly what we do. It's just basically looking at those things. It's just how do we look at those lazy, different ways of looking at life that is going to let you do the things that truly matter. I would say instead of just saying, life is about spending more time with the people that you love. Life is about being happy. There is also this big fallacy about selfish love, right? And the denial of self, of your own recreation and fun seems to be perceived as a good thing. You know, it's almost like a material way, you know, where going through pain is going to make you a saint. It's absolute bullshit. You know, people should be wanting to personally gratify yourself. There is the Epicurean values of having fun personally, of being able to do things by yourself that make you happy, that make you smile. That is essential. It's the whole pursuit of happiness by yourself. When you are happy with who you are, with what you do, you attract people that are also going to be happy with themselves, that they get that they need their own space as they need space with other people, to bring that connection. So it's just getting that new way of thinking that is going to facilitate changes in your life so that you can have the time and the resources to be able to get there. And that's what it comes down to. And at the same time, understanding that it's all done in a connection level, in a deeper connection. And I think that takes away a lot of the fear when we know that everyone is connected in some way. That these energy fields are crossing all over the place. And I love what you were going with meeting new people and being able to do that in a non-aggressive, in a non-needy kind of way, like I was talking about before. Because if you're doing business and you just want money, you know that used car salesman pitch, don't you? You know that guy that is just there to get your whatever it is, you know, just sell you that shit. and you also know the people that give a shit. And the funny thing about it, this is not to boast. This is not. It's gonna sound like it is, and I don't give a shit actually if it does sound like it is. But in terms of sales on stage, I don't know many people in the world that are even remotely at the level that I am, because I can consistently outsell most people on a stage, on big stages with thousands of people. I'll do that on a regular basis. And it's not because I am extremely well spoken or very polished. Most of the times I actually wing most of my presentations because I honestly believe that it needs to come from the heart. I don't use bullshit NLP, hypnotherapy, like a lot of these idiots do, to try and convince people. I absolutely freaking hate it. Absolutely. Yeah. I despise it. I come from a place of truth and love. And I always tell myself the same message. I've actually shared it a few times in past videos, which is I just ask for help to help the people that I can actually help. And the ones that are not ready, that's fine. At least let me entertain them, which I tend to do as well. I tend to be quite funny. Yeah. But it's just getting that connection when you don't need them. You actually want them to join the ride, and people feel that. There is that feel of not neediness. I'm not a needy little prick that is going to follow you around for your whatever it is, dollars.
Agreed. So I found the book. This is going to be a nice further part of the discussion. So the book is called The Regrets of the Dying, obviously. It's written by Bronnie Ware, and she's a palliative nurse. So basically she was treating patients that were in the last stage of their disease and were not being able to cure, right? Or get cured. So I'll read you the 5 regrets. 1, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expect of me. 2, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. 3, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. 4, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. 5, I wish I had let myself be happier. Now, it summarizes what we spoke about almost.
Wow. I'm just taking a moment to actually to just soak that in. Yeah. And it's amazing when you are so in tune with it, how you can get these moments of clarity, right? And I think this is what I'm having on this conversation. It's a moment of clarity with your questions, with whether you're going. It's just, just putting it out there. But that summarizes everything that we've been talking about.
Yeah. So I think, linking it to the way you express how you are on stage, right? And I can really relate to that. I have a bit of a fear of selling. It's getting less, but I used to really let sales in any of my companies be somebody else's job, because I don't think I was the one that was the best at it. But now when you bring up something that is really interesting, which is, and it's part of what we're talking about, slowing down also means being more authentic and showing more who you really are. And I think this relates to this number 3, right? I wish I had the courage to express my feelings, right? So if you're on a stage and you are you, and you're also exposing your weaknesses, or you're showing the stuff that you've done wrong, or people don't want to buy from a shiny brochure anymore. People want to buy from people they can relate to, right? People want to do business with people they like. People want to buy from people they like. People want to buy from people that are authentic, especially now, because there's so much polished imagery going around, whereby, the classic stories of, fake millionaires renting jets to do photo shoots. I mean, that's just all bullshit, right? I mean,
dude, there is a couple of guys that take it to a whole new level. I mean, there is this guy that literally has a CGI 737 or 747 with his company name. Like, he didn't even fucking rent it and put it there. Yeah. And he plays it as a video before he comes onto stage. I mean, you see this fucking idiot and you're like, are you bloody kidding me? You really think that this is going to impress people? And to be honest, mate, he does.
It does.
He can sell. But yeah, I say it all the time. Authenticity, vulnerability, being yourself, being true, being able to actually do it in a way that you're helping people. It's not selling anymore. You're not selling. you're just sharing a story. When I listen to you, I know that there is no bullshit. There is just no fear about sharing your shortcomings, your learnings, your experiences, and where you're going, where you may have failed. And I love that part, especially when we did that interview, the second episode that we did, was the first one or the second? It doesn't matter. Where I was asking you questions about you, and you were just sharing. And sometimes I was thinking, shit, you are actually you're making yourself look smaller than you are, because of the amount of negative stuff that you were talking about yourself. And I know how good you've done. Honestly, one of the reasons why I'm doing this is because I respect what you've achieved immensely. What you've done it's nothing short of extraordinary, especially with the amount of hours and time and everything that you put into it. So it's amazing that you can just focus on that, because you're not scared. You're actually trying to help people, because you know that by sharing the problems, you're probably going to help them more, but by sharing the cool things that you've done.
Yeah, and it's reality. And I think it's okay to share mistakes. It's okay to share your failures. It's okay to share your doubts. I mean, this is all, it's all a chess game. And there are no white squares only on a chessboard, right? So there are no good times only on a chessboard. So if we're playing the game of life, we're having, as many black squares as we have white squares. So if we make our moves, we're going to end up on black squares every once in a while and screw up and make a mistake and lose and, do something dumb and, face the consequences. I think it's okay to share that, because it's just part of the story. And if for that reason people do not want to relate with me, great, because I don't want to relate with them in that case. So that's fine by me. And I think, that's also what you are doing. And I think just to bring an authentic story to the table, I think that's just what the world needs. I think, we need to just have people help other people, share stories, be authentic, because, we're all in this game of life and nobody really knows how it works. We all think we figured it out, but nobody has really figured it out, because there's so much more complex things at work that we don't even can understand at the moment. So let's just assume that none of us has the total reality, and let's just go with, okay, some people have a little bit of the truth, and then, let's relate to those. And for the rest of it, we all need to play our own game and just figure out the rules and figure out how it all works, because nobody really knows anyway. So,
no. The smart people actually know that they know shit. It's the dumbasses that have every answer. So at the end of the day, you're always learning, you're always evolving, you're always changing. That's always going to be the case. And another thing, actually, that this documentary, and I just want to bring it up to the next. We should do it in the next few days. Documentary brought up is that there are going to be consequences to the actions that we're taking, and it's the course that life is going to be taking. We are basically, it all came down to too many people leaving the planet, emissions, the way that we eat, and everything else. It's unsustainable, because we have a finite world with resources that we are absolutely dilapidating. So something's going to give. So we are going to see that happening probably within our lifetime, where population needs to be reduced, or something is going to happen that's going to reduce it, because that's life, that's wars, that's what everything happens. And that paradigm is something that I would love to talk about, because it creates, it shows you what the future can be and what we can all do as well as humans to potentially lessen the extent of the problem that is upon us. Because it is a big problem, and we've just accelerated the shit out of it with lockdowns. So that's going to be a fun one, because it completely changes the way we invest, the way we look at life, the way we do a business. Everything changes.
Yeah, it's called A Life on Our Planet, the documentary, Ruin and Regrowth. Yes. David Attenborough. Yeah. Is it on Netflix? Can we watch it on Netflix?
Yes, it is. Yes, cool. It is. So make sure that it's on your to-do list today. This is the kind of lazy shit that's great, like just watching a bit of Netflix, having a bit of fun. I absolutely love stand-up comedy as well, like watching the Netflix stand-up comedy shit. Oh, that makes me happy. And I will, once that we have everything open, so it'll be next year now, I will do my first stand-up comedy show somewhere local to have a bit of fun. So nice. I'm committing to that one.
Nice.
Because I love making people smile. There is nothing better than just shaking someone's head and making them smile, making them laugh out loud like they used to. That for me, it's the juice of life. Yeah, have more time, watch more comedy, laugh more, make more love, do all those
Absolutely.
things. Yes,
I
before
think
it's too late, before you regret them.
before we regret it and before, time is over and we move on to the next movie. So yeah, I think it was a great discussion today, David. I think we touched on a lot of things. Two things to watch for. One is the David Attenborough documentary, which was the start of all of this. And the book, The Regrets of the Dying by Bronnie Ware. I've only read the summary, but now I'm going to read the book because it doesn't come up for a reason. Things always happen for a reason. There are no coincidences in my world. So the fact that this book and this documentary came up means that I need to go and study them a bit more.
I'll download it and read it this week, so we can even talk a little bit more about it next time.
Yeah, perfect. Let's do that. I'm looking forward to your stand-up comedy routine. Hopefully by that time I can come over and see it. That would be really nice.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. All right, man. Thank you so much for listening through my thoughts and sharing your own and going on different tangents and coming up with, having that book and the ideas and everything else. That was pretty powerful. That made my day, actually, to read those things. And after what we talked, that seriously made my day. And I look forward to the next one, man.
Same here. And if you guys who are listening or are watching this have any ideas about things that you want us to talk about, please drop them in the comments on the video or on Spotify, or reach out to us, and then we'll pick them up on the next episode.
You've been listening to The Lazy Money Machine. Find out more at lazymoneymachine.com.